8 minutes past 8. Good morning. Let's get into the conversation. My name is Ifeyemi Andrew. And you're quite aware that June 12, that was on a Monday, the president had signed student loan bill into law. And after that happened, diverse reactions have been coming even till this moment. And right this morning on the newspapers, we saw ASU and ASUP still against increase in hike of fees. Some people have had their say with regards to the impact of that student loan bill and what it possibly could mean for the education sector. Some other people think, well, as much as it might seem like a good thing, it also has the downsides. And it's a loan that students can have access to for those of them seeking to further their education in any of the tertiary government institutions. So I'll just go through some pointers there. The Act provides an interest-free loan for indigent students in which beneficiaries will only pay back the exact amount they collect. So no interest. That's one. The Act also offers loans for poor students seeking higher education in public universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education in the country. It has to be only government-run schools, federal government-run schools from what it looks here. The Act also enables all indigent students to have equal rights to access the loan without any form of discrimination arising from gender, religion, tribe, position, or disability of any kind. And the loan shall be accessible to only indigent students. It means students studying within Nigeria, and it's for the payment of only tuition fees alone. Only the payment of tuition fees, nothing else. It doesn't cover your books, doesn't cover accommodation, doesn't just monies to pay your fees. The Act also states that there shall be the creation of a Nigerian education bank, and that's how people would get access to the monies, and it will pertain to matters regards to the loan. So how to get back the loan is the question many have been asking. What are the penalties if you fail to pay back the loan? Those things are things that I'm sure many Nigerians would like to hear and know. Unfortunately, some of those details are still not very much available, but there are some of the things that would form our conversation for this morning. Today, I have two wonderful gentlemen with me in the studio. The first is a lecturer for Department of Educational Foundation, UNIPORT. He's also an educationist, Dr. Benjamin Nyewurisa. Sir, you're welcome. Good morning.
Very good morning, Andrew.
Been a while.
Yes, indeed. I don't know why you decided to murder my son this morning.
Yeah, so I would apologize if it was murdered, but we are not from the same place, so it's a bit difficult. We'll do our best. Pronounce for us, please.
Nyewurisa.
Okay, Nyewurisa.
Yes.
Noted now.
Thank you.
And he's not alone. I also have Monmon Precious, who is the Executive President, National Union of River State Students, here with us as well. Precious, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Port Harcourt.
All right, so let's cut into it. Doc, I would like to start with you. I'm starting with you because we're also looking at ASU's position to this, and there's been diverse views coming in with regards to the students' loan and the positions that's been held by the academic unions and the impact that it would have. There's the talks of increasing tuition fees.
Yeah.
ASU already has said that's not going to work. It's not, that government should not do that. And the fact that it is coming just after we're seeing this bill for student loan come into play that covers only tuition fees is also a concern. Some people beginning to call it rob Peter to pay Paul. Is that what it is? For you, first, looking at the loan program, what's your take?
Well, ordinarily, I should be glad that government is about to do something to ameliorate the difficulties that Nigerian students go through, in course of accessing quality higher education. And so bringing this to the table,
yes,
ordinarily should be a relief, particularly for the indigent. And don't forget again that the Act appears to be targeting just the indigent or less privileged students society. So ordinarily,
but it says every Nigerian.
Every Nigerian, quite okay. But don't equally forget that when we get to eligibility, we're talking about some parents, who shouldn't. Some parents are excluded, and I will tell you, because if your parents aren't earning up to 500,000 naira, I guess, per annum, you are not eligible to apply for this loan. Am I correct? That's
if your parents are earning less than
then
that, you can access the loan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. So that's it. So for me, ordinarily should be a welcome. The spirit of the act is what I'm interested in. But again, the sustainability, the workability, is what I have reservations for.
But it's never enough. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Especially with the cap for it's almost like saying, the monies that we are collecting are going to the poorest of the poor, and then we are saying in the country that the poorest of the poor would have bank accounts, and how can the poorest of the poor have bank accounts? Because it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
And it's people are beginning to question whether or not this monies would even get to the mothers in the villages who have their children that who don't even have the know-how on how to access this sort of funds when it starts running. The government is looking at September, October to see it running. The possibility of it being hijacked is a concern.
No. It's a genuine concern. It's a genuine concern because experience has shown, like I said, over time that we've had these lofty visions, very charming programs and schemes, and then midway we see that the implementation will always hit the rock. Don't equally forget, Andrew, that prior to this time, this very act now that was passed into law on June 12, is a replacement to the Nigerian Education Bank Act of 1993. So, if you fall back on that act, what has happened between 1993 up to June 12? Was that Nigerian Education Bank Act, was it working? I was in the school in the 90s. I don't know of anybody, I don't know who really had access, to education loan from that bank or from the provisions of that law. It never happened. So that's why, okay, there is this genuine fear that, look, this might hit the rock. And it didn't start today, Andrew. I teach history of education. In way back the time of Gowan, okay?
Yes.
A loan scheme was floated in the 70s. And it was running because when we go to school in the 90s, late 80s and early 90s, they were telling us that, look, your predecessors enjoyed a kind of loan scheme. Now, what happened to it? Why did it go in?
It's going to bring me to my next question, sustainability.
Good.
But before we come to that, let's hear from Precious here. Speaking for students in Rivers State, how are they receiving this? We already, let's use, for instance, we have some of the loan apps, for instance, that are existing in this country where people can go get loans to sort out their problems. And we're seeing how difficult it is to even get your money back. How are students responding to this particular bill?
Okay, well, I would like to say that in as much as there are some concerns as regards the loan, we on the students' part, we consider it as a welcome development. These are my reasons. You recall that sometime last year, I said right on this platform that I suggested that Rivers State government should make a provision like this for students to access loans. Particularly that was during the issue in RSU that led to the high institution fee, that students were finding it difficult to pay their fees. Supposing there was something like this in place, I believe it wouldn't have led to the protest we embarked on that very morning that led to you inviting me for that interactive session. So we consider it as a welcome development, particularly when there's no other form of relief They are not paying bursary. There's no scholarship scheme ongoing. And then we have an avenue where those less privileged students can go and access loan. On the other hand, looking at it critically, if you check very well the social vices on campus, I am not justifying it though. Most of those who indulge in it is simply because sometimes they don't have any hope of paying their fees. So they see it as a last resort, all right, of getting a means of paying their fees. So I feel if a provision like this, it's made and it's visible, it will go a long way in reducing the social vices. People don't need to get into... If they
succeed in paying their fees, you don't think they would not consider, how do I feed? How do I get accommodation? How do I get textbooks?
The point
how
is
do I transport myself to classes daily?
A situation when you didn't have any of this in place, all right, and then you now have an opportunity of clearing your tuition fee, at least that is very pertinent. Then you start looking for other means. But when the entire burden is too much, there's tuition fee, there's school fee, there's textbook money, the accommodation and all the rest, it becomes worrisome. And usually tuition fee is higher than textbook money as well as accommodation fees, because you can be living in the hostel.
Let me throw this question to you. A loan or a grant, which would you have preferred?
A situation where we don't have any, we accept what we have at hand.
No, at the moment, if the government had a meeting with the student union bodies, NOS, NANS, and said, well, this is what we want to do, a loan or a grant, which would you suggest to the government?
It depends on the grant. Someone can even accept paying you a grant that is less of what you expect. But when you have an avenue where you can get a loan that can cater for what you actually want, and looking at the repayment aspect, it's not something you pay immediately. It's something you pay 2 years after NYSC. I believe at that point you are already balanced in a way.
How many people after NYSC 2 years after have a good job?
The truth is that
because you know the responsibility that comes the moment you finish your NYSC. I went for the NYSC. In fact, while I was in the NYSC, I know the demands from my doc would understand some of the things you're saying. I know the demands from family, people at home. Yeah. There are other things that are already waiting to collect that money, that little 20,000 that you are going to make, or 30,000. And then you're not going to also think about how you want to pay back a loan. So how many people 2 years after NYSC even get a good job? Not just the job, but a good one that even pays them at least 180,000 naira.
Let us believe that for the government of the day, which is a new one, barely 14 days, to have made provisions like this, let us believe and be hopeful that they will make provision for employment for those students that have collected loans from them. Because it is a new government, we cannot just preempt them that they will make provisions for jobs. For them to, in barely 14 days, deem it necessary to make provisions like this, which is part of our yearnings over the years, then we believe that that of job creation is something that will be considered, because they've started well. They met with the leadership of the union as well. If you check very well, that was on Monday. Was
any consequence discussed with regards to people who might default?
Okay, I believe details as regards that will be communicated soon. All right, but as regards the defaulters, the little I actually know about it.
Because we know that people will default.
Yeah.
If we're going to take the average Nigerian behavior and behavioral pattern that we have now, and you take a quick example from people who even take loans from banks or from all the cash apps and all the other financial institutions, and for little things, people collect as small as 10,000, 20,000, and they're not able to pay back. For some of them, they're even working. They have something doing, and they're not able to pay back in the time that they should pay back, even without interest. So what is the guarantee that we would have students that will collect these loans and parents that would access these loans and will be able to pay back?
For those who would secure a job, I don't think there will be any need or cause for alarm, because from the bill itself, for example, if you are being employed by the government, that you took a loan and 10% of your salary will be deducted per month.
Okay, so the government is going to have access to your employers, and we collect that money from source. We collect the money
automatically without you getting to pay. It is your employers that will get to pay the money, not even you. Your employers deduct 10% of your salary monthly.
So, Doc, you want to add something? Because some people are saying perhaps the NYC scheme is also another place the government might want to collect that money.
Well, I just want to call the attention of my friend here to
In 1 minute, so we'll go for a commercial.
okay, all right, to the critical aspect of this act. I followed through the campaign train of our current president, and part of the things he emphasized was that he was going to come up with a loan scheme, but it's going to be based on the introduction of cost reflective tuition. That means that the tuition as it is now is going to be hiked. Definitely. Because if you say cost reflective, it means that with the present arrangement, government is still, subsidizing, what ought to be tuition. So the tuition is going to be completely removed. That's the implication. And if that happens, I do not know whether the students are going to take it in good faith, because I don't know.
Because we don't know what the price of the cost will now be
exactly
for tuition.
what it will be. And again, how much will be available. We don't know the maximum of this loan, the amount that will be involved. We do not know the minimum. So that's why we say we have to tread on the path of caution.
All right. ASU has said that the federal government should not toy with the idea of increasing tuition fees by hiding under the guise that it has set up a student loan scheme where students can source monies to finance their education, which is the concern you're raising. When we come back, we're going to look at sustainability. We'll open the phone lines and also get your response. Stay tuned. We'll go on a short commercial now. UNIPORT, and Precious, Executive and President, National Union of Rivers State Students. The student loan bill has been signed into law. The government says committee has been put up that will involve various ministries and parastatals to see that it kicks off between September and October. But then there are flaws. We've been pointing out some of those areas where we think could be a concern and what are the plans to address them. Oh, I'm sure my guests still have plenty to say. In the meantime, you might have questions to share with us. You could do so using the WhatsApp number 0809 030 6416. We'll also be opening the phone lines in a matter of moments, but then we're streaming live on Facebook. So join the conversation on Facebook, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. On Twitter, it is Nigeria Info PH. We'll be taking a few of your comments before we go further with the conversation. The best Imalis kid says, good morning. It's great because it would enhance the chances of the less privileged getting to the top level. Ikechukwu Sterling says, if they are shown Nigerian students of jobs after school, then it will be sustainable. And Nihei Shoaib says it will be sustainable if the zeal and commitment from those going to saddle the program is there. Basi says, I've carefully studied Nigeria and I say like a genuine prophet that in no distant time this program will be added to some abandoned projects. Austin Osimini says, one advantage is availability of funds for students with further education. The downside is the maturity of the loan. 2 years service, a country where there are no jobs, and the punishment for defaulters we don't know. We have all of that too. Maybe they withhold your NYC certificate. I'm pretty sure there might be a lot of things that the government can do. But some people, I was having a conversation with some friends of mine, some senior friends of mine, and they were saying it's possible that from NYC, the monies that the federal government will be paying to you, it is possible that that's somewhere that they can, for options, they're just making options. It could be somewhere that they could decide to get the money from, knowing the fact that it might be difficult to get a job after you finish. How much percentage would be collected then would be a question. There's just many ways. But the fact that we do not have a clear-cut explanation as to how these monies will be retrieved and what will happen to people who default, and most importantly, the talks of the hike in tuition fee, Doc.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so go get your response.
Yes, the suspicion that there's going to be the likelihood of hike in tuition fee is there. Is there. Like I said off air, that I see this whole scheme as a case of appropriating and reprobating, because if you give out these loans to students, and on the other hand, you're washing off your hands completely, from subsidizing tuition, it means that the tuition fee or tuition charges are going to skyrocket. So, will what the student be getting be commensurate? In fact, will it be sufficient enough to take care of the tuition fee? Mm-hmm. That's the question. Will what government be disbursing? Right now, we don't know the amount. Like I said, we don't know the maximum, we don't know the minimum. But what government is going to be disbursing, is it going to be enough to take care of the tuition? If it is not going to be enough, then it will be, the aim is going to be defeated. It's already defeated.
For NOS, ASU is already raising that concern. Is that something that students have also thought about?
Okay, the leadership of the union, the Apex Union in Nigeria, NANS, met with the president. Was it yesterday or the first day? It's part of the discussion they had to ensure that whatever money that will be released should be enough to cater for the tuition fee. So for now, we wouldn't want to raise any concern yet, owing to the fact that they've not defaulted. So we want to believe, like I said, we want to trust, particularly owing to the fact that this is a new government and we shouldn't be looking at the negative side so quick. So let us keep hope alive that whatever implications that would emanate from it, particularly as regards the hike in tuition fee, the loans that will be given will be enough to cater for it. And that is all we want. If, for example, school fees is high and the less privileged can afford quality education, then there is no need even worrying about the hike in tuition fee so long as the fund is there, particularly from the federal government, lending that hand of help to ensure that even the less privileged who cannot afford the education can at least go to school.
There's also the fear that we're having less and less people concerned with education. The interest to go to school, graduate dwindling. We're having more people who feel like, oh, just give me that money, I'll do my business. It's like the NYSC scheme where you have many people telling you, all the money you are paying us for, just if you give it, let's just go. This is, they see the 1 year service as a waste of their time. People are beginning to look at the chances of people applying to get these loans and then using the money for something else.
No.
As against going to school. So is there a measure in place that is going to ensure that doesn't happen?
Yes. If you do a perusal of the act, you will see that there's a provision for default. What is going to happen, the penalty. In fact, you are likely going to serve 2-year jail term, or you pay a fine of 500,000 naira, or both. Now, so, and again, there's something ambiguous about penalties concerning the act. One, it clearly states that after 2 years of your NYSC, if you are employed, it is your employer that will be paying back, 10% of whatever you collect. So, if there's any ambiguity anyway, it is going to be that is it the employer that is going to be fined or that is going to be prosecuted should the employer not remit, the 10% to government coffers, because it is clearly there, explicit, that the employer should remit 10%.
So if you're working for a company, let's say you're working here, for instance, before the company pays you your salary, it takes out that 10%.
Exactly.
And gives to government and pays you what is left.
Exactly. But I worry. Now, it means that from the onset, if you are coming to any establishment, the establishment is going to bear this burden. All right? And I ask, how many establishments, how many companies will be willing, to share this burden with their employee?
But would it be a burden if they're employing you for a job and you're doing your job and that's your salary? Upon your employment, there was an agreement that we're employing you to come. Okay, I'm employed here to work, and there's a certain money that they have agreed they'll be paying me.
Yeah.
So I think it's as simple as the company just telling the accountant, if we are to pay you 10 naira. Because of this what we know will happen, we're paying you 8 naira.
Yeah. And
that's what you will take home. 2 naira, you already know where we're sending it to.
We do know, but again, considering the vagaries of economics, in the event that a business or your company, the company that engaged you, goes down or is struggling, what happens? These are the things that we should throw up in examining the implications for payment. As if the company is struggling, okay, with the challenges of the economy, what happens? Would they really, be committed, faithful to remitting this 10%? And again, the Act also said that either the company should remit or the student upon employment, when he gets his own employment, if he's self-employed, he should also, get to know that he's going to do away with 10%. So how is that person? You and I know how tax evasion.
So who would go and tell the government that I'm now employed, I'm now a business
exactly.
person, so
and again you're going to make a tax declaration, profit declaration to government faithfully. Who's going to monitor all of that? Because that's what the Act says.
All of these concerns raised. Students, the unions, have you talked to students about this to also ensure that students are of best behavior if this is going to succeed?
Yeah, I was about to say that this calls for good followership. If we are complaining that the government is not faithful enough to their own promises, when they have tried their best to render a hand of help towards the populace, we should also showcase that good followership, and that is where that character comes in. We've been given a loan, good and fine, and God so kind you have a means of being self-employed. What's there for you to be faithful to start repaying the loan you took?
It's as simple as this month my mother is sick, my brother has to do something, and now the person weighs the options like, okay, let me just wait, I'll pay the 2 for next month, let me sort this problem, it's more pressing. That's how it starts, and then you're not owing 1 month, and then your rent issue comes up, or my wife has to give put to bed, and then there are other issues you need to tackle that are pertaining directly to your life, and now you're already done with school, so you're
probably
the enthusiasm,
or probably the very month you are getting married.
So
when you are looking for fund left, right, and center, and then somebody's telling you get 10% out of this, you know. So
it might not be easy. All of these things,
like I said, it boils down to character of the person involved, and we should showcase that good followership.
Let's hear from our listeners. We'll open the phone lines now. 0817-923-0003. 0817-923-0003. You can also call 0817-923-0007. Sustainability of the program is a big question, and we'll be talking about that now. But first, let us know, do you think that the student loan program will be sustainable? Share your thoughts with us. I was asking Precious here to tell us, a loan or a grant, which would you have preferred? If the government had said, okay, we'll be giving you grants, but we'll not give, maybe the grant for a person is, let's say, 1 million. We're not giving you the 1 million cash. So your semester, as you're paying your school fees, you come, we're reducing from there and giving to you. Or maybe a scholarship program that would, would have certain standards that people would have to meet, and then the government can begin to train you in universities here, not abroad, in government universities here. These are various other ways that people think the government can do this, and it might be more sustainable. Let's see. On Facebook, Darlington says the loan is a linkage to any student that will apply for it. While giving the money to the public universities to make use of it, it is an injection to the economy. Dr. Mrs. Umar says, from Owerri, giving loan to students and asking them to pay back 2 years after graduation, failing which they face the consequences, is not right. Is government ready to employ those students immediately after the NYSC? That's one question. Second one is government ready to create enabling environment for them to actualize their potentials? Let this not be a promise of cock to fowl or onyinye mami water. All right, I think the latter part of that is in Igbo, so I don't think I'll get it correctly. Mike is in Omagwa. Let's hear from Mike now. Hello, Mike. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, and good morning to your guests in the studio.
Go on, Mike.
Okay. I want to make my own contribution on the student loan bill. Okay, I think it's a good one. And I think we, the Nigerian students, we should also try it. You know, the other countries in the West have tried it. And I think it did not work well for them, but at the same time, it also worked well for them. So if the Americans are trying to remove it, and maybe it may work for we Nigerians. So I think we should just give it a try. And if it did not work, we do away with it.
Okay, Mike, thank you. Okonkwo is in Rumokuta. People keep saying the Americans do it, but then we also forget to understand that there are certain indices that are available to the Americans that we don't have. And that will be us putting this on a foundation that we have not set in place in the first place. What's the possibility that it would stand firmly? Okonkwo, good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
So my philosophical thought, I'm not comfortable with the idea of giving a loan to students. The reason is that when you give a loan to a student, should that student abandon his comprehensive study and go into trade in order to make profit to pay back the loan? Additionally, when we look at the labor clause attached to this act, it says that the person goes into 2 years in prison, or that the person pays 500,000, or both. And I begin to think of when the student finishes NYSC, currently there is no provision for job, and we should not build on hope, because we have suffered since 1999. Then what would the students do in order to get this money paid? Why not we, as we want to, if the desire or the passion is to help students, why not also give them free education, even to tertiary level, or give them scholarship, that will not inconvenience them, or paying back, it will lead many to prison. Thank you.
All right, Okonkwo, thank you. I also think, before we go to David Yenegwa, if the government does something to remove the force we have about getting a BSc, for many people who go to the university, it's not to learn really, it's just to get that document to say I've got a BSc. If we say a lot of, as much as if you have the SSC you can be a president, so why can you not have the SSC and work somewhere and be paid well, not just be paid, at least be paid the minimum wage? We now have a lot of people who might even not have a business wanting to go do some of the things I studied in 4 years. Doc, you would agree. Now people go do a course of 3 months, 6 months and get bigger jobs and make more money than I'm making after studying for 4 years. David in Yenegoa, good morning.
Yes, greetings to you from the city of Yenegoa in Finland.
Go ahead.
Let me retrace my earlier stated opinion with respect to this loan law. As a matter of fact, in Yenegoa, or Bayelsa State rather, during the administration of the former governor, His Excellency Seraki Dixon, the administration came up with a student loan board, and it was passed by the State House of Assembly. And today it is still operational, although we have some reservations to the way it is. I'm looking at that with this present national loan law. Although I have not gotten a full grasp of the act as it is, but the sketchy ones I've seen, it's quite different from that of the student loan bonds we have here. Nevertheless, I am of the opinion that the law is not a bad law. It's okay, it's welcome. And the provisions of the law has also spelled where the sanctions for those that will default. So for me, I think if the repayment process that has been causing the hula baloo or raising so much questions of after 2 years of your NYC, Nigeria is a country where there is no job for you for like 25 years, you will not get a job. Well, the government that has come up with that loan, just like one of your guests there said, if in the implementation process, they have now come to identify that this is the gap we're having, the law is subject to amendment. The government will now begin to make provisions for the citizenry of Nigeria that as you are graduating, there are jobs for you to do to repay back this loan so that others can also benefit from it. Let us not just completely begin to say, oh, no, it's not going to work, criticize it, that's the issue. For me, I think that's one of the problems we're having in this country. Give chance or a space for something to operate. Let us have it work first and identify the deficiencies of it, then improve upon it. Okay. I think it will help us. So, all right, David, for me, let us give it a try.
Thank you. Chuks in Eleme, good morning. Hello, Chuks. Chuks? All right. Before we take some of the messages on WhatsApp, some of the comments have hinged on sustainability of this as well.
Yes.
Which is where I'm going to now. How can this be sustained? It might seem fantastic on paper, but then when we look at the reality of the system in Nigeria, one, the behavioral pattern of Nigerians. Two, somebody once told me in this country, people waiting to steal on the streets are more than the people in government stealing. Because I looked at this theory and I quite agree to an extent. It says the people who are complaining are stealing came from this society where we are going to pick the next people to go into. So if you look at a message here on WhatsApp explains it even best. It says the average Nigerian obtains a loan without any intention of paying back. Ask the loan apps; they will tell you more.
Okay.
We have students, sorry, Doc, we have students in school who are going to school and they might use the go to school. Maybe I'm sure you would have to bring certain documents from your school to access the loan. Meanwhile, while in school, they are doing makeup business. To collect the loan, needs to buy rim lights or buy these are possibilities and things that will happen for many people. And in a country where the mindset is when government brings money, it's free money, we also have that to tackle. How can we sustain it? Because the moment people do not pay back, it means more people cannot benefit.
Well, for me, sustainability here should be predicated on, the political will of those who are driving this scheme. That may take us to the trajectory of this bill. Don't forget that this bill is exclusively the brainchild of Honorable Femi Bajabamila, okay, who had been on this since 2016. And good thing now, he is the brain box of this administration, being the chief of staff. I do not want to see that. I do not want to believe that he's going to watch this fail. I do not want to believe that, because this, like I said, is his brainchild. He pushed it through many years, and here it is for him, to be in the driving seat. All right. So and again, sustainability also implies that funds should be available. And if you look at the act, it's again explicit. The sources, 10% from total derivation from oil profit. Sorry, 1% rather. 1% from FIRS, 1% from customs and immigration. And I mean, these are sources that whatever happens to the economy,
it would be able to.
It will be able to. So, going with that, the sustainable. And again, I have this confidence, that the leadership of Ahmed Bola Tinubu can really push this, can really see through this. I was in Lagos when he was the governor of Lagos State. I spent about 8 years. In fact, I was there all through until he handed over to Fashola. I saw what he did in the education sector. I saw what he did in LASU, the State University, and all of that. Don't forget that he's coming from also that part of the world that, gave that marketed free education to the rest of Nigeria. I'm talking about the regional government of Obafemi Awolowo in 1955 that set up the UPE program, free education program, that made the West, as I speak to you, unarguably the most educated nation. I dare say the West. And so they are coming from, he's coming from that part of the world that has, concern, utmost regard for education. So I do not want to doubt that they are going to push this through.
Let's take these two callers and then we'll come to Precious. Marshall in Wuji, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, first I think I'll commend the federal government for this policy. It's a step forward from, before now we are doing conditional cash transfer, where money was just sent to people that are not productive assets, but they've moved it from that level to try and support our educational system. And I think it's sustainable if the federal government has the will, which it has shown already. It was part of what the president said before he was elected into office. Now, the money might not be given to the student direct. It could be paid since his tuition, it could be paid to the school account, so people won't have access to the money. Then for the repayment, we have our BVN, we have other things to identify a person. So if they have your BVN, like as it's done abroad in Europe and all that, once you start getting money into your account, it is known. Once you start getting money monthly into your account, a system shows that this person has started getting money into his account. And there is cure for default. There is punishment. So system will develop. There will be issues. There will be leaks along the way. But eventually, we'll all balance and get used to it. I think it's a very, very good idea to support.
All right, Marshall from OG. Thank you very much. McDonald in location. We lost that call. I think that would be the most call we can take this part. I think something he highlighted that I was also going to say. The administration of Goodluck Jonathan had said, if you want to tackle corruption, take the monies out of the hands or the reach of people. Don't allow too many human interference, and that's one way to really reduce it. So if everything is computerized and done online, you reduce human interference, then you could reduce corruption to a large extent. Which brings me to what he said about perhaps not getting these monies into the accounts of the students. Let them apply. We pay directly to the school. Precious, is that something that you have thought out, or is that something that perhaps has been suggested in the meetings with NANS and the government?
As regards the meeting with NANS, the full details isn't out yet, but we believe some of these issues has been discussed. Particularly for us, if so long as the money will be paid for the purposes of going to school, we are okay. you don't need to give me the money. So long as you pay directly to the school management and I have access to our classrooms and good learning facilities, then it's fine by everyone and all parents.
Because if that approach is taken, we now bring the issue of prompt payment. We know how the policies with some of the schools now with late school fees payment and how it affects students. And it's going to really involve everybody working together. Are those things looked at as well?
Obviously. Particularly when, like Prof here rightly said, the person that pushed the bill holds a critical position in the current administration. So it's not something they will just throw under the carpet. They will look at other sides of the matter.
Okay. All right, Doc, let's get parting words in less than 1 minute. What would you say should be done if we are all going to benefit from this?
I think that it is doable with the right political will. I think that it is doable if we do away with bureaucracies as far as this is concerned. Don't forget that they are talking about setting up an education bank or fund, with the CBN governor being the chairman, and then there's going to be a committee, that will be involved and all of that. So when you bring in committee, like one of your colleagues who just left this studio some time ago, not too long ago, is there anything that Nigeria will do without a committee? So can't we do away with red tapeism here?
Doc, we have a commercial now. Thank you for your time.
Right.
It's Note 30 series, the baddest selfless